In a recent conversation on the discussion forum, there were some questions about Gregory Paolini's Bow Arm Morris chair, and I decided to make a SketchUp model to help answer those questions. That brought up some new questions, particularly about using SketchUp. Several people wanted to know how I managed to get the armrest in the right location and how I cut off the tops of the legs in this rail and also added the tenons. So I thought this would be a good topic for a blog post. So here I've got the side frame made up the way the article shows. By the way, I'll post a link to the PDF file in my blog text. I've also modeled the armrest the way it's shown in the article, and I've laid it out horizontally, and I just drew it above the side frame here a little bit. When I set out to draw this, I did locate this front edge at the distance specified in the article, the distance from the front of the leg. And then I've added in some guidelines. There's a pattern shown to use for cutting the legs and this rail at the specified curve. Basically, it shows a point. I've got a guide point right there on the back leg, and then one at the front leg here where this guideline crosses. And you're supposed to cut along that pattern to create this the curved cut. What I've done though is I've created this armrest according to the article to get the curve right. So now in order to transfer the curve from the underside of the armrest to these parts, I'm going to go ahead and place the armrest component where it needs to be. So I've got this vertical guideline, and I'm going to use the move tool. So that was M. I'm going to go from where the guideline goes through the face. I'm going to bring that down to that point. Now, from here I can rotate the armrest down to here, but I need to know where on the armrest to grab so that I can snap it to that point. So to do that, I'm going to use the arc tool. You could also use the pi tool, but either one will work. And I'm going to go from that guide point, I'm going to come down to this guide point. So that's the radius of my arc. And then I'm going to come up here until I just get to the surface. And then, with that armrest selected, I'll switch to the rotate tool. I'm going to press the right cursor key to lock that in the desired orientation. And now from that guide point as the center of my rotation, I can come from this end point, the top end point of that arc, down to there. And now that's in the right location. And I'm finished with the arc. So now I'm going to set out to create the tenons next, and well, let's just do this back one because it's already visible. So this tenon is going to be 1.5 inches square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control so I can draw my square from the center out, and then I'm going to find the midpoint on that edge and that edge, and I'm just going to come in here until I get those two black dots, and then I can drag out my rectangle or my square, and I'm going to temporarily push my shoulders down for that tenon, make it long. This is kind of a neat thing you can do with SketchUp that you can't do in real wood. Let's hide the rest of the model, and I'm going to do the same thing here. So for rectangle, control to do from the center, midpoint there, come in here, drag out. Let's make that 1.5 square. And again, I'm going to push my shoulders way down for the moment. Actually, this leg needs to be made taller. I forgot to do that in the first place. So we'll bring that up so it's above the top of the leg. Now I'm going to use, let's do this with the Bool tools. So I'm going to bring this toolbar out so you can see. And I'm going to use the trim tool. And I'm going to trim the arm with the back leg. And then I'm going to trim the arm with the front leg. So if I open that for editing, you can see I now have the mortises. All right, now let's do this. And we'll bring the rest of the model back. I'm going to come up in here someplace, go to X-ray so we can see where we're at. And I'm just going to bring the shoulder up into the arm a little bit. And then we'll do the same thing on this one. It's kind of a neat sort of no math way to manage all of this stuff. All right, so now I'm going to again use trim. This time I'm going to trim the leg with the arm, and I'll do the same thing here. I'm going to trim the back leg with the arm, and if I hide the rest of the model, you can see how that has been cut off at the right angle there. And let's bring back the rest of our model. So both of those are done. Now, actually we might as well, while we're at it here, I will use trim, and I will trim the top rail with the arm. Now that's going to leave us, let's get rid of that for a moment. That leaves us with this scrap piece up here at the top. I'll just, with the component open for editing, I'll just delete that. And of course I still need to add the tenons to those parts, but to that rail, and then the mortises to the legs. And I won't do that here because that's basically the same sort of thing. But now let's do this. I'm going to come down here to the surface, and then the article tells me that the tenon sticks up proud by 1/4 inch, and then it has a 15-degree bevel on the edges. I'm going to use the yellow protractor tool here, and from here to there I'm going to come down 15 degrees. Actually, let's just see, because I'm kind of curious. Whoop. Went the wrong way there. Oh yeah, we'll still be proud there. That's good. Don't really need that one. Now, I'm going to double click on that face, and then I'm going to hold shift and deselect that. I need those edges shortly. But before I do that, I'm going to use the line tool to draw the X on the top there for these are the fold lines for my the way the tenon is chamfered. Now I'll use the move tool. I'm going to move, and I'm going to hit the up arrow key, so I'm moving in the blue direction. I'm just going to move down until I hit the guideline. All right, so let's do that one more time. So we'll open the component for editing. I'm going to come down, come up a quarter, and then I'll put in my, it doesn't really matter which side we do this on, but this is a handy way to figure out that angle. Again, I'm going to select those edges. It's faster to select that by double clicking on the face and then holding shift and deselecting that than it is to go around and select each of the edges. And since they'll stay selected while I draw in these edges for the fold lines, I'm leveraging that. Again, move the up arrow key so it has to go in the vertical direction and come down till I hit the guideline. All right. So at least from an outward appearance, let's get rid of that thing. From the outward appearance, that's all done. Hopefully there's something there that you can use in your own modeling. If you have any questions, by all means, let me know.